Everybody's wondering whether AI is just flooding the web with half-finished apps. Basically, anyone could build an app these days, just a few prompts in your AI tool. But something a lot of us forget is that it doesn't end there. You have to maintain your app, make sure there's no security holes and things like this. But I'm here with Jonas today, and he's going to show us a little bit how you can automate these processes and make sure your app is maintained and not forgotten about. And with the help of AI, we can make this a lot easier than having to do it manually. So Jonas, super happy to talk to you today. And first of all, can you just tell me who are you and what have you done?
Thank you for having me. I'm Jonas Birmé. I'm the CTO of Eyevinn Open Source Cloud and Liivo. I am a developer. I've been developing for over 20 years. Been working in software development in the media industry, and I have a Master of Science degree in computing science. With that background, I've also seen what you need to do in order to develop something sustainable. This, as you said in the introduction, there is one thing to build something, get something up and running, and showcase it, and that's very easy today. And you can continue adding on to that, building up on that one by one. But suddenly you realize you have a lot of code as rapidly being generated by the AI, but you don't really have any control of what has been added. How can you go back to a state that was working before, or maybe the step before? And here is where I think we have a lot of experience from the sort of software industry. We know what worked, we know what hasn't worked, and we know what the processes are needed to have a software deployed in production environment in a sustainable way.
It sounds great, Jonas, because you say you have a lot of experiences, because a lot of us who vibe code or make apps from scratch without AI, we know all these things, how to build it, but once again, we forget about how to maintain it. I would like you to show us a little bit what we've been working on here at Open Source Cloud, and show us a little bit how we maintain the apps. So could you show us a little bit? I think it's SDLC stands for?
Yeah, that's a complex acronym, stands for Software Development Lifecycle. And in simple terms, that means that there are some checks in the process, meaning that first of all, when you do a prompt or you want to have something changed, there is a process where that change or the requested change is also reviewed, triaged, or what you call it, and that checks what type of impact it has in the code base. Will it have more complexity in some area, or would things need to be split up, and all these sort of architectural things, and that's typically done by an architect. And in this AI scenario that we're in, that architect is of course AI, but that is a process that needs to be done. So that's the first step. And once you have architected the request, it split this up into smaller tasks that is sort of manageable by the developer agent. Similar how you would do it with a sort of a human-based team, you would split this up into smaller chunks that you can comprehend and implement. And once that has been implemented, you create something that is called a pull request. And a pull request, that's basically a sort of a change set. This is the change that you want to make before it has been made. And then you can review it yourself or have an AI to review that change set. And if that's all is fine, then you will, what you call it, merge it into the main code base or the main branch. If you want to remove that, you can just remove that part, revert that commit in that sense.
So basically, when your app breaks and nothing works, you can just go back to an earlier state.
Yeah. And that's one thing. Then another thing we add is the what you call a stage and prod deployment process, which means that you, even though you have reviewed the code and you put it back into sort of the main branch, you don't want that immediately go out to the production. You might want to verify that it works or that it was as intended. And for that, you have a stage or testing environment where it immediately goes out to. And then when you have that done, you assign a version to it, or you tag it with a version. And then you take that version and apply in the production environment. And that means that you can you can also roll back to the previous version if that didn't work.
Oh, yeah. So basically, if you do some big changes, you don't want the problems to come to the live site. Like,
No,
oh,
exactly.
the site's down again. Well, we could have made sure that didn't happen, to have a little preview site, I guess you could call it.
And of course, it's a good practice to not collect too much and then deploy it. I mean, to deploy as often as possible, so the change that is smaller. Because if you then go back, you don't lose that much changes.
Before we get into this, like, what's some things that could happen if we didn't have this? We mentioned, for example, the live site. You get all your like, if the site goes down, this stage kind of hinders that. But what's some other things that could potentially happen? Because I know before you told me, like, the web is kind of always moving.
Yeah, that's also another important factor. I mean, as you say, things changes all the time, and there are unfortunately some exploits, security exploits. There are either it's a bug or it has been some malicious introduced software into the mix, and that you need to be very conscious about today. You need to continuously stay ahead and stay up to date with all this, and that's also something that we've added to the platform to help you with. So it regularly monitors, scan your code for open vulnerabilities based on the information that's available online, so you don't have to do it yourself.
And I think that's a super important thing, because I know a lot of us that build with AI. It's super fun to build, but it's not that fun to, you know, go for the security and the things that maybe you don't see any visual difference, because that's super important. We never want to leak any information or such. It's super important, but maybe not so fun. But this really helps. So Jonas, please give us a little, like, show us around what you can do and such.
Yes. So here you see the open source cloud user interface, and if you have deployed your app using Liivo, you may not have seen this user interface yet, but here I've deployed an application. It's a simple weekly meal planner application that I've developed with AI and deployed using Liivo.
Yeah.
So it's available here. It's in Swedish, but you can write your plans there. So what I've added or enabled here is this little checkbox. That's when you start, it's disabled. But by enabling this, called Agentic SDLC, which is Agentic Software Development Lifecycle, you are asked to enter your AI credentials that you get from an AI provider.
Like a Claude or a Codex or ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's stored safely in our system.
And how is this different from if you've been using Liivo or OSC, that you already have your MCP, your connector to what's the difference?
Oh, the difference is that you can turn off your computer, basically, and it will work in the cloud.
Oh, okay, cool.
When you have that enabled, you can go to the application settings. You are available with some more options here to choose from. One is that we talked about previously, is do this continuous scan of vulnerabilities. So you can enable this, and then it will on a weekly basis scan your repository or scan your code.
So it goes through all your code and see if something's off.
It goes all through your code, and most important, your dependencies. If you're dependent on some...
What's a dependency for this?
Well, when you build something, you don't build everything from scratch. You maybe include a library, or, and that's a dependency. So if there is a vulnerability in that library, you may need to update to a version that doesn't have that vulnerability.
Okay. So basically, you might not even know that there's some parts of your code that your AI hasn't even written, and you want to make sure that there's nothing fishy going on or something has happened, basically.
And the next thing you can enable is this stage prod deployment. And if you have that enabled, it will all automatically create basically two applications for you. One is called stage. So you see it here, it's a little bit grayed out to indicate it's a stage, but it's a fully working application. So it looks like this. And if you look at the sort of production, it's at the moment the same.
Okay. But you can also, I guess, if you have a client or something, or the team, you could put it on this stage and show everybody, and once everybody is on board, you could push it later. So it's not always for just making sure things doesn't break, it's also to everybody's on the same page.
So another thing is if you go into this, you can submit requests.
Okay.
For example,
like a feature or something.
Like a feature request,
or
like
a bug or something.
so if we look here, maybe we want to have it
in English, maybe.
Yeah, maybe in English. Translate to English. I want this app to be available in English and Swedish.
And this is basically what you write here is sort of like you write in your own AI. It's basically like a prompt, so you can write anything, I guess, in a sense. You don't have to go technical. Or
No, not at all. So when I do submit request here, what happens now is that the ticket is created in the system. You can open up here and you see this is a ticket with this request.
Okay, but you don't have to go here if you don't.
You don't have to.
But if you're interested,
if you want to see how it's managed, you can click on it. And what happens now is that. So now what's happening now is that it's picking this up and it's doing triaging of this ticket. And what will happen when it's done? And for you to not have to wait for it, we're going to look at an example that we've done before. What it will do, it will take this ticket or this request, and then we'll break it up into smaller tasks. So it will actually do a design. If you want to, you can go into and read how it has composed this into the smaller parts.
Okay, so if you're a little bit more skilled, you can go in and make sure it's...
Yeah, and it's not only technical things. It could be that it plans to do it in a way that you think, no, that's not really what I meant. I meant it more in another way. So you can correct it in that sense.
Can you write here, or do you have to redo it, or how does it work?
No, you can write here. You can write a comment here. When you're happy with the plan, you click approve. So this plan has been approved. Right. So now it's awaiting your approval.
Oh, perfect.
So here you have the option to approve or revise or cancel it. So, but now let's just approve it.
So now it's kicking off and actually doing the code
Now
part.
it's actually kicking it off and doing the work.
I saw also before over here somewhere it said something about collaborators. Maybe I think like if you're working with maybe a client or somebody, you don't always want to like reach out to them or like emails on what to change. Maybe somebody could help you with like, okay, I saw this bug or I want this feature. Tell me just quickly about what that is.
Yeah, collaborators means that, I mean, for me to file a request here, I need to have an open source cloud or Liivo account. But maybe you don't want to have that person that you're working with to have that. It's not necessary. So what you can do is that you can create, you can invite a collaborator. So you just write the email address here. And you can send the invite, and that will get this link. So if you open that up in another browser, I copy this password, and I log in with that. And here I can file tickets as well.
That's basically what we did, but it's just for other people.
Yeah, so I don't have to have a...
Yeah, that's perfect. So they can just like build or say, well, we want this, and that, and then you can just look through that.
I
that's
want
good.
this in Spanish.
Yeah.
I want the app also in Spanish. You can submit it. So if we then go back here, it will end up there, and then this architect will triage. So they can just put in a lot of requests and improvement suggestions.
And basically, even before you got into your computer, it already has a plan made for you, so you don't have to like wait to.
No, exactly. So your task is to approve or revise.
Okay, this is not needed.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's look into this translate to English and request that we asked it, and we see that it's created a pull request. So we go into that and we can merge it, and then we update the stage up.
Okay.
Let's see if we have it available in Swedish and English then.
Yeah, let's see how it did.
So the stage deployment is done. We can click here. We see we have English and Swedish.
Oh, let's see.
Weekly meals.
Oh, nice.
So that works, and we can double check that it doesn't change the production.
Oh, okay, yeah. In case if you look at some spelling error or something, you can catch that before.
Yeah, but you saw since we have locked the meal planner here to this version, it wasn't changed when we merged that.
Okay. And the last step now, when you're super happy with everything and you want to get it onto your real live site, production site, what do you do then?
Then I go here to settings, and then I just create deploy from stage.
Okay.
And then it will increment the version by itself, but you
okay.
can enter a specific version if you want to.
So you just click. It's the latest if you click on it. And
Right.
if you would want to roll back, how would you approach that?
Yeah, if I want to roll back, I go into settings, and then I choose one of the earlier versions.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's simple.
Right. So now it's done. We can see that it's been deployed version 1.01. We can click on it, and now we have.
Oh, yeah, now you have the
So it's the same now as we have in stage.
Nice. And once again, we don't have to have the computer on for all these processes. We can take it away, take it down, jump on the bus, and it will continue to work in the background. Okay. Thanks, Jonas, for showing me this. And I hope this will help for you to be able to maintain your app and not just getting it up there and then just it works, it doesn't work, this happened, and everything's just a mess. Now you can take control of your workflow and hopefully make something that's very stable, but not only stable, also take care of the security and make sure it's also the things you don't see will also work. So maybe you already made your app on Liivo, and this is the natural next step in the process. So if you have a Liivo account, you also have an open source cloud account. So give it a try there, play around with it a bit and see how this could help for you. So make sure to comment and follow to see more tutorials and videos like this. So stay tuned.